Let's talk about cognition for a second. There's some new concepts in the physics that allow us to understand cognition in a whole new way. Einstein, I guess, found or helped understand the notion of entanglement. He called it spooky action at a distance, but it's not that. Entanglement is a communication between things, between atoms. And it's a robust process. It's a process that creates, and it's a process that is instant. There are three primary fields, a P-lock, Psi-lock, and an I-lock, that are formed when something communicates. A field is created. This is a passive event based on orientations. The fields within these atoms match up. And the first field produced is called P-lock, a perfectly elastic line of communication. It's a stationary field, and the rate densities that match here express themselves in this field with the distance between applied, which means that the rate density of an entanglement here, or the field's rate density, is slow in comparison to one here, or across the vast distances of space. Now, as the atoms separate themselves, the relative width or size of this field is narrow and small. And this rate density is incredibly fast. Atoms caught within this field move if the fields inside this atom entangle with this stationary field. The movement is a discrete motion of start and stop. One velocity. Now, the ability for an atom to entangle in a field when the field is here, produced here, or here, or here, or here, or here, depends on that intraatomic field matching this field. And so we have four distinct distance classes. We have strong, weak, electromagnetic, and gravitational distances. Characteristic fields produced in these distances. Specific rate densities that make up the fields as they incorporate the distance between entanglement into that field's rate density. Once a field is produced, as this P-lock, secondary fields can produce within those fields. A Psi-lock may be produced. Now this would be a field whose margins are growing. A field that is produced within a field may be growing like this. This is called a Psi-lock, a semi-inelastic line of communication. Now within this Psi-lock field, an I-lock, an inelastic line of communication, may form and produce an I-lock field. The margins within this field grow very fast, and standing waves phenomena are created in this Psi-lock. As this Psi-lock field is formed, the margins translate ever so, creating a standing wave phenomenon. This is the only true pseudo wave that exists. All other waves are a product of conformations, formations of many, many, many entanglements. Now, as the symmetry breaks or we lose symmetry, the field disappears. These are temporary fields only, appearing and disappearing. Now, all of these instant processes are happening within our minds. Electrochemical processes from sensory, ears, eyes, nose, taste, feeling, touch. All of those sensations are slow in comparison to instant processes. Now the cerebrum breathes back and forth like this in a point field phenomena, back and forth at different rates. Now there are 3 hard structures within the temporal wiring of your brain. The inner ear has 3 hard structures, and in the temporal part of the brain, we orient ourselves elastically around these 3 hard structures. We don't know this now. No one knows this. No one knows anything about these instant elastic communication processes in the physics. And yet, with this elastic communication, we now understand cognition better. We have 2 processes, not 1. Instant processes that fill your whole mind, okay? And very specific sensorial input that we watch elastically. We watch how we see, we watch what we taste. Now, to complicate things, there's a new notion in our human condition that interferes with cognition, this instant elastic process. It's called floral innervation. Religion calls it sin. Now we know about flora in our alimentary canal. Bacteria, virus, and fungi. They live in the moist, dark, warm places in our bodies, and they grow, and they're colonies, healthy colonies and not. And yet, the fungal component, what we don't know, innervates the tissues and cells of our bodies over our lifetimes. Now, as these fungal processes make their way along our gastrointestinal area, along our spine, and into our cerebrum, they trigger things like maturation, puberty, disease, aging. Without this floral component, what religion calls sin, we would not age, we would not incur disease. Now, this floral component helped us to evolve. It helped us to develop tissues, organs, nervous systems, immune systems. So it is perfectly adapted to turn our cells on, turn them off, trigger fat production, trigger our immune system. And what happens is that as it innervates in our lifetime, it slows these neural processes down. Sometimes it sends too many signals, it bombards our nervous systems from our gastrointestinal, making it very difficult for us to think, slowing down this cerebral breathing. Now, once the cerebral breath stops, nervous impulses from the brain slow down and aren't able to maintain the nervous and vascular innervations in the body. And as we lose vasculature in the body and nervous innervation here, then we lose, vice versa, we lose neural connections and vasculature and innervation in the mind as well. They feed back and forth. So to allow better cognition, we need to eat correctly, no sugar, no alcohol, no dairy, only vegetables, no meat. You can eat fish and eat antioxidants and relax and concentrate.